Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. A little bit of other half up in this piece. Yeah, a little bit of Strata. Hopeful goodness in the form of their big Strata vibes. Yeah, been hitting the other half a little bit more than usual as of late. Been seeing a nice kind of, not just variety from them out here in New Jersey, but it seems like the price points have gotten just a skosh better to where it doesn't feel as abhorrent to actually pick them up and purchase them, which is pretty awesome. This is a double dry hopped India Pale Ale. This is coming out at 6.5%. Looks like this was made in DC and it's about a month and a half old. Probably a little more boring. Other half cans, I mean, they always kind of, I dig them, but this one's a little bit, something about it just lazy. That's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, let's see what the sucker has to offer. We are one day away from February, which means we're a month and a half away from my son's birthday, which I am super pumped for. But yeah, typical can, but a little uninspired as far as when they typically do with the whole geometric pattern thing. It looks all a part of what you expect from a nice, rich, well-done hazy pale from Other Half, are really one of the better kind of hazy producers. You got that nice kind of, not butternut squashy, but turbidish kind of body. Can't really get a ton of light through it, but you can get some light through it with this just barely off-white kind of creamy soapy kind of head to it. It looks all the part of like apricot juice, if I'm gonna go anywhere on that. Let's get a nose. Ooh. Okay. Very, very, very explosive from a fruit standpoint on the nose. It brings us just big gobs and gobs of tropical fruit and big gobs and gobs of stone fruit here. Obviously, you're always going to get some kind of citrus component here, but it really is this kind of back and forth between the tropical fruit. You're talking about very rich, ripened kind of mango kiwi kind of thing going on there, bouncing off that kind of nectarine kind of peachiness that has this kind of like, it's ripe, but it's not overly ripe, so there's a nice kind of precursor of sweetness. But I also do think you're going to get a little bit of green on the hop side of things, because on the nose you get this little bit of fluttering, kind of almost like unkept lawn grassiness to it, which I don't get a ton of nowadays in at today's hazy. It seems like that green's been kind of bred out of a lot of the hops, but I really dig it, and I'm getting that here. I'm getting it, not gobs and gobs, but it's 6.5%. You have to remember the ABV here, and with that ABV being not gigantic, it's actually quite an explosive nose on here. Actually, just gonna dive in. Cheers, y'all. It's delicious. Yeah. Wow. It really does remind me of kind of like an older guard kind of new school hazy. And by that I mean, we're talking about mid-teens, later aughts, 16, 17, 18 away. Almost like a single cutty when they used to do their stuff on a smaller scale, and they were very, very big into that onion scallion-y thing. This has definite vibes of that. It's not super rank, it's not super dank, but you definitely have that portion of the show at play. But at the same side, and the same token, you have gobs and gobs of fruit here. Again, that tropical fruit, that mango kiwi in combination with that big stone fruitiness, kind of playing back and forth off each other, is really kind of harkening back to those kind of beers that had a bit more going for it, that wasn't just neutral fruit moving forward with not a big bitterness, nor greenness, nor scallioniness. It kind of reminds me a little bit of an old school, kind of new school beer in a sense. In a very, very fun way. It's probably one of my more favorite Other Half beers I've had in some time, just because of the way it's showing itself in all those aspects of the way the kind of hops come off. There's a nice, beautiful mouthfeel to it, not super turbid. It kind of follows what you'd expect based off the look of the beer, and that you're going to get a nice full mouthfeel, but it's not super butternut squashy. And I almost feel like there's a touch of some kind of grain to this. Again, it's Other Half. It's probably a lot of dextrose, a lot of brew sugar, things like that. But I feel like there's a lot of bit going on in this beer that typically you don't get in a lot of today's hazies. There's a bit more to the hop. There's a bit more greenness in the hop. Maybe even a skosh of a malt, dare we say, in the beer. Maybe it's just today. Maybe it's the way the beer is hitting me. I don't know. But this is a very, very fun beer. I don't know what else to say. Kind of was, I don't know, maybe the label had me a little bit kind of rope-a-doped, and I'm like, it's probably going to be okay, and pour it, and it's quite nice, but there's something about this that puts this beer in this weird special place that I keep mentioning, which is it tastes like that 15, 16, 17 level of really high-end hazy that I just don't see anymore. And maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia, maybe it's my yearning for those beers to kind of come back. This is damn tasty. If I'm going to boil it down to, is this one of the better, I was going to say low ABV, it's not, 6.5% proper IPA, Mount Rushmore status of all time? No. As of late, closer, but probably still off of that scale. There's probably ones that have done me just a skosh better, and there's so many that I've reviewed that it's hard to really get up in that top 4, but it's worthy. Let's put it that way, and something that I'm glad I got a whole 4-pack of. You know, over one of the biggest things I'm jealous about when it comes to beers overseas in Europe, pretty much everything's priced per can. Over here in the United States, you have to buy 4-packs. Usually not a big deal there, whether it be a beer I'm going to drink or share or mail out or give to somebody, I don't know. I always like that kind of idea of being able to buy singles at proper pricing. You know, you can buy singles here in the United States, but it's not going to be the 4-pack divided by 4. There's going to be a premium added onto that. But when you get something like this, and it really hits, buying that 4-pack doesn't bother you as much, I guess you could say. So yeah, let's talk about it. It is one of the better ones I've had. Yes, Mount Rushmore status worthy. Value and availability, I want to say this is probably $17, give or take, I think. Off the shelf, and leave you with, if you like what we like, yes, if you like those beers that I talked about, if you really kind of miss those old school little ranky-dank scalliony jams that, while this isn't hyper in that direction, it's giving you a bit more than you typically get in today's beers. If you miss that, that's something you dig on. You'll dig on this. Other half, you've been to the breweries. Have you been to one of their 47,000 breweries? Have you been to the DC? Do they actually have a DC brewery? I would assume they do. I know they have a DC facility, but can you actually go there and sit down and drink beer? I don't know. Have you had this beer? All that fun stuff down there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of other half right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.